Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal Part 270 to 271 based on novel. So let's start. At the same time, inside the brilliant void realm, the old man who noticed Wang Lin before revealed a complex expression. He shook his head as he stepped forward, and his gaze fell on the indifferent brilliant void saintess, Mu Bingmai. Your ninth avatar was destroyed due to a calamity. Why do you still hide even though the calamity has arrived? The beautiful woman with the cold expression lowered her head and pondered. Since that ninth avatar was destroyed because of him, no matter how much you avoid it, you still have to face it in the end. When you saved that little girl, Ju are you, this old man already knew that your mind was a mess due to the ninth avatar. The old man let out a sigh as he looked up at the void. Remember, you are the brilliant void saintess, Mu Bingmai, not Liu Mai from planet Suzaku, who had a son with an ordinary cultivator. You are responsible for carrying out the mission of the brilliant void realm and responsible for defending against the people from outside the sealed realm. The boundary between the inner and outer realms will open soon. He is not an ordinary cultivator. Before the old man could finish, the indifferent woman lifted her head and calmly spoke. Her beautiful face was enough to make anyone's heart pound and be willing to do anything for her. Are you still stubbornly indulging yourself in that illusion? The old man frowned. I'm just telling you that he is not an ordinary cultivator. The indifferent woman's voice was still calm, but her tone was slightly heavier. Fine. Even if he isn't an ordinary cultivator, even though his mind was able to enter here through some unknown method, even if he reaches the peak of the second step, so what? The old man revealed a look of disdain. In the end, he is still just a cultivator. This old man didn't know that this little cultivator he spoke of was someone who had survived the Vermilion Bird Awakening, and the Vermilion Bird Divine Sect would protect him with all their might. He also didn't know that this little cultivator had the blood of an ancient god. This wasn't power he had inherited, he had gained it after his own body collapsed, and he reformed it based on two-size memories. This body was the root of his bloodline. He also didn't know that this little cultivator had the heaven-defying bead. The beautiful woman looked at the old man and calmly said, "You were once only a cultivator." The old man revealed a bitter smile and didn't know what to say for a moment. You can rest assured. I won't evade the responsibility of the brilliant void realm as the brilliant void saintess. However, you can't interfere in my private affairs, and you don't have the right to interfere. I don't need anyone else to get involved in the matter between us. The beautiful woman's voice was resolute, and she refused to compromise. The old man let out a sigh and didn't continue this topic. He looked at the sky and said, "My old friend's body has been possessed, so I'm going on a trip. Are you going as well?" The beautiful woman pondered a bit and revealed a complex expression. However, in the end, she became determined and nodded. I'll go. Inside the 7th floor of the Celestial Emperor Cave, all of the magma had condensed into a fire dragon. The fire dragon lifted its head and stared at everyone below it. An invisible pressure suddenly spread. 2 strands of heat waves came out of the fire dragon's nose along with this pressure. The 2 giant dragon horns were red and gave off intense temperatures. Its python-like body was coiled up, giving the dragon an aura that made it seem like it looked down upon the world. Its angry gaze swept through the people below and locked onto Wang Lin. He could feel a hint of familiar aura from Wang Lin's small and weak body. This was the aura of fire origin energy. Wang Lin's mind trembled when the fire dragon looked at him. He didn't bow his head but slowly retreated. The dragon quickly withdrew its gaze and stared at Master Void, Ancient Demon Bei Lu, and Ancient Devil Ta Jiao. It let out a roar and charged at the 3 of them. Wang Lin let out a sigh of relief and rapidly retreated. When his divine sense spread out, he saw that the 7th floor had become a sea of flames when the fire dragon roared. As the dense fire burned, Ancient Demon Bei Lu's eyes lit up and he unexpectedly stopped escaping. He turned around and his hand formed a seal. A giant green demon head appeared behind him and charged at the ancient devil. Master Void's hand formed a seal and formed a storm of yellow sand, creating a 100-foot barrier around him, blocking the flames. However, with his current cultivation level, He couldn't hold the fire off for long. When the sand came into contact with the flames, there were popping sounds, and the sand cracked and collapsed. As for ancient devil Tarjio, his eyes became cold, and he was filled with bloodthirst. With a step, he let out a hoarse laugh. "Why did you stop running? A mere fire dragon spirit that was only a guard dares to bite its master." As the ancient devil spoke, his hand formed a seal and pointed. He shouted, "Let me show you Qing Lin's spell. Burn the heavens." After he spoke, a black devilish flame appeared where he pointed. The devilish flame immediately began to spread and intense temperatures filled the 7th floor. Even the sky was shrouded by the devilish flames. In an instant, the sky was black because it was covered in these devilish flames. Not only could it burn everything, but the invading devilish energy could cause your origin soul to collapse. In an instant, the devilish flames covered the sky and the fire dragon let out a roar. Flames came from its body like crazy in order to fight the black flames in the sky. The entire 7th floor shook as the fire dragon's giant body rushed at the ancient devil. The ancient devil revealed a sneer as his right hand pointed at the fire dragon. All of the devilish flames in the sky descended like meteors and surrounded the fire dragon. This scene was heaven-shaking. In an instant, the devilish flames fell and covered the fire dragon. At this moment, it looked as if the fire dragon was giving off monstrous devilish energy. Waves of angry and painful roars echoed from the fire dragon, and it struggled to charge at the ancient devil. However, when it got close, Tarjio's right hand pressed down, creating an invisible force. When the fire dragon was within 100 feet of him, Tarjio caught the fire dragon. No matter how much the fire dragon struggled and roared, it couldn't escape. This made ancient demon Bei Lu suck in a breath of cold air. You can use Qing Lin's avatar and the invisible force in his body. Bei Lu was aghast at the situation. He clearly knew that it meant ancient devil Tarjio's possession had become one with the mind. Ancient demon Bei Lu gave up all intentions of attacking, a bitter feeling arising in his heart. He understood that with his own strength, even if he got everyone else to help, they no longer had the power to change the fact Qing Lin's body had been possessed. This devil was willing to pay any price and fought with Qing Lin inside his body for countless years. All of this was for Qing Lin's memories and his cultivation, but more importantly, it was for this body. The ancient devil held the fire dragon as it moved forward, and arrogant laughter came from his mouth. "Ancient demon, you and I were great enemies in the outside realm, but now you are a mere ant before me. Once this devil completely takes over Qing Lin's body, I'll own the body Qing Lin has refined for countless years. A body that can break all laws. A body that can enter any place. With this body, I can retrace the footsteps of my ancestors and become a 9-star ancient devil. Once I reach 9 stars, I'll be able to enter the ancient devil tower ruin and obtain the true power of the ancestors." Ancient devil Tarjio's mad laughter echoed. The fire dragon struggled to retreat. However, it was thrown aside by Tarjio. Qing Lin's spell, burn the heavens, boil the oceans. The devilish flame in Tarjio's eyes suddenly moved and the 7th floor was filled with devilish energy. This devilish energy was so dense, it seemed like it was corporeal. Then, in the blink of an eye, it turned into a devilish ocean. As the waves raged, Wang Lin's eyes were filled with shock and he was trapped inside the ocean. Not just him, but Master Void was also trapped inside the ocean. Even ancient demon Bei Lu couldn't escape. In the distance, the fire dragon was roaring inside the ocean, but there was fear in its eyes. As ancient devil Tarjio spoke, the ocean formed by the devilish energy began to boil. Devilish gas floated into the air and bubbles appeared in the raging ocean due to it reaching an unimaginable temperature. This burn the heavens, boil the oceans was going to boil the ocean until it dissipated completely. This also made it impossible for the people trapped inside to struggle. During his brief contact with Tarjio, Wang Lin found that as time passed, Tarjio became even more powerful. Back on the 9th floor, Tarjio would have found it difficult to use these spells, but now he was able to use the Celestial Emperor's spells. Thinking about Celestial Emperor Qing Lin's countless spells, Wang Lin's scalp felt numb. However, right now was not the time to think about it, as the ocean waves raged. The devilish flames in the sky continued to descend and large amounts of water vapor appeared. In the distance, Master Void revealed a miserable smile when he saw the ocean that wanted to boil them alive shrink and the fire from the sky close in. He hit his forehead with his palm and his body collapsed. A crazy shockwave spread out from this collapse, and it created a whirlpool in the ocean. It also pushed the descending devilish flames away. The moment his body exploded, Master Void's origin soul charged out. This crisis is too dangerous. This old man would rather risk facing the first heaven's blight than be boiled alive here. The moment Master Void's origin soul flew out, he opened his arms, and his eyes revealed a decisive gaze. As his arms opened, outside the cave and outside the demon spirit land in the boundless space where the vermilion bird spirit was, 5 stars emitted an indescribable light. As this light shined, it diffused across the entire star system. As long as one was in the Alliance star system, one could see that 5 stars had appeared in the sky. Whether it was day or night, the light from the 5 stars could be seen everywhere. Then one of the stars shined brightly and covered up the remaining 4 stars. Then, when the light reached its peak, the star suddenly fell into the void. The old man from the brilliant void realm and the beautiful woman were moving through the stars. As they moved forward, the old man raised his head and calmly muttered, "Someone is experiencing their first heaven's blight." The most bright of the 5 stars fell. It was extremely fast, far faster than any cultivator. In an instant, the bright star passed the vermilion bird spirit, and a loud rumble echoed when it disappeared into a speck of dust. After piercing through the dust, it entered the demon spirit land and caused the devilish energy shrouding the demon spirit land to be pushed back. The star penetrated into the earth and charged through 6 floors of the Celestial Emperor Cave before landing on Master Void's origin soul within the boiling ocean. At this instant Master Void's cultivation level increased like crazy, but he revealed a painful expression and began to scream. By borrowing the power of the first heaven's blight, Master Void unexpectedly broke through the devilish flames in the sky and charged up. His origin soul was rapidly dissipating under the light of the star. For a Nirvana Shatterer cultivator, this was just the start of the first heaven's blight. Ancient Devil Tar-Jor was going to reach out toward Master Void, but his eyes lit up and he lowered his hand. He's experiencing his first heaven's blight while seriously injured. If he doesn't die, he could become one of my scattered devils. At this moment, Bei Lu, Wang Lin, and the dragon that was still trapped inside the boiling ocean had reached a critical moment. The Celestial Emperor's spell and the monstrous devilish flame had reached a frightening degree. The ocean level reduced rapidly and the temperature increased greatly. Even with Wing Lin's vermilion bird and ancient god body, he felt the pain from the heat. However, no matter how much he struggled, he couldn't charge out. The devilish flames had descended into the ocean, which caused this spell to reach a peak. Wang Lin's eyes became anxious. The intense heat entered his body, making him feel as if he was being cooked alive, and made his body limp. At this moment of crisis, Wang Lin revealed a bitter expression. He had rarely been wrong in his life, but he had to admit he had calculated wrong this time. If he had left with Hu Huan and Wang Wei, he wouldn't have been in such danger. However, even so, they still wouldn't have been able to escape from here. The terrifying ancient devil Tar-Jor would have eventually caught up and they would have still had to face him. No matter what, the ending was the same. Wang Lin had been through danger throughout his life, whether it was facing the blood ancestor, the Yarrow family's pursuit, or the land of the ancient god when he was at the core formation stage. None of those times had made Wang Lin yield, and he didn't want to yield now either. However, reality was cruel. However, all of this wasn't enough to make Wang Lin's Dao heart collapse or give up. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He still had the heaven-defying bead. He still had source origin. At this moment, the ocean had almost completely dissipated, leaving only the devilish flames. It seemed to want to burn all life within it to death. The fire dragon was weak, and its body continued to shrink. Even it couldn't withstand the devilish flames. Bei Lu's body was surrounded by monstrous demonic energy, but this was all futile. The mad laugh of the ancient devil echoed as he stared at the devilish flames. On his shoulder sat a small person. It was the origin soul of the man in black that had shrunken to sit there. A flame dragon circled the man in black. As he stared at the fire dragon, his eyes were filled with greed. This fire spirit dragon was refined by Qing Lin and is extremely loyal to Qing Lin. With its intelligence, it can obviously tell I'm not Qing Lin. Lu Hu, since you are the Supreme's disciple, I'll gift it to you to devour. Ta Jia's voice was calm as he grabbed the origin soul of the man in black and threw it forward. The origin soul turned into a dragon and greedily charged at the weakened fire dragon within the devilish flames. Many thanks, Lord Ancient Devil. The man in black sent out a message filled with joy and then charged at the fire dragon. However, at this moment, the fire dragon raised its head and revealed an unyielding arrogance. It let out a roar that turned into sonic booms that echoed in the devilish flames. It even caused the devilish flames to pause for a moment. The dragon formed by the man in black suddenly stopped and retreated, but the greed in his eyes increased. He was in no rush, and he believed that this fire dragon wouldn't last long under ancient devil Ta Jia's spell. With greed in his eyes, the man in black's origin soul looked at the struggling Wang Lin. His eyes revealed a strange light. His vermilion bird is also mine. Just at this instant, a scene that shocked the man in black occurred. He saw the fire dragon suddenly struggle to move its body. Its giant body shrank until it was only 100 feet long and charged at Wang Lin. Its dragon eyes revealed determination and an intent to die. It would rather die than let the man in black devour it. If it had to die, then it'd rather choose this person, because it could at least feel a hint of familiarity from this person. This scene was outside of the expectations of the man in black. The fire dragon was so fast that before the man in black could react, it was already near Wang Lin. The moment Wang Lin opened his eyes, the fire dragon let out its last roar and charged into the spot between Wang Lin's eyebrows. Endless fire origin energy entered Wang Lin's body and made its way into his origin soul. The vermilion bird tattoo that had weakened suddenly awakened as if new power had been injected into it and let out a vermilion bird cry. Although the fire origin energy inside the fire dragon was different from the fire of the vermilion bird, the source was still fire of the heavens. When the fire dragon rushed into Wang Lin, it caused the fire origin energy in his body to increase greatly. Moreover, the fusion of these two different types of flames caused an unexpected change. The vermilion bird moved within this storm and the shadow of a dragon. The storm reached a peak and unexpectedly even absorbed the devilish flames that were burning the world. As it absorbed like crazy, the storm formed a powerful vortex that had a terrifying suction force. This all happened in an instant, and even ancient devil Ta Jia was startled. The man in black was aghast at the situation. He no longer had any thought of devouring and wanted to retreat. However, he was too close, so the moment he tried to retreat, he was pulled in by the vortex. The ancient devil frowned as he raised his right hand and grabbed the man in black's origin soul. Just as he was about to withdraw his hand, ancient demon Bei Lu's eyes lit up. He had already given up, but he didn't think that such an unexpected mutation would occur after Wang Lin absorbed the fire dragon. He could clearly see that within the vortex, a white fire was condensing like crazy inside Wang Lin's body. Source origin fire seed. At this moment, even with his identity as an ancient demon, Bei Lu sucked in a breath of cold air. His desperation suddenly disappeared and he saw a chance to escape. Just a trace more and he will be able to completely condense that fire seed. Once that fire seed forms, he will be able to control all the flames in the world. Although there is a hint of will inside these flames, Ta Jia's possession isn't complete, so there is still a chance. Various thoughts flashed through Bei Lu's mind. Just as ancient devil Ta Jia was about to pull the man in black's origin soul back, Bei Lu clenched his teeth. The 7 stars in his right eye rotated rapidly and then one of them suddenly collapsed. Ancient demon shattered star. The collapse of an ancient demon star allowed a powerful surge of demonic energy to enter Bei Lu's body, allowing him to struggle. Although it was not enough for him to escape or charge out from the burning flames, it was enough for him to use spells. His right eye shined once more and another ancient demon star collapsed. With 2 stars shattered, ancient demon Bei Lu's body suddenly magnified, and he charged forward at the man in black's origin soul that was about to be saved by Ta Jia. Bei Lu's body turned into a whirlwind of demonic energy and smashed into Ta Jia's arm. There was a loud bang as ancient demon Bei Lu's body lost a lot of demonic energy, and he became even weaker. However, this made it so the man in black's origin soul was no longer in the ancient devil's grasp. Terrified, the man in black's origin soul was about to escape once more, but Wang Lin's right hand reached out from the vortex and grabbed him. He was about to resist, but endless flames came from Wang Lin and wrapped around him. Then Wang Lin dragged his origin soul into the vortex. Inside the vortex, killing intent appeared in Wang Lin's eyes, and he devoured the man in black's origin soul without hesitation. The moment Wang Lin devoured the man in black's origin soul, an explosion occurred in his body. Absorbing the fire dragon, devouring the mane in black's flame dragon, and his own vermilion bird meant that 3 types of flames were inside Wang Lin's body. The fire origin energy in his body reached a new height, and as the heat increased, a fire seed the size of a fingernail was formed in his dantian. The moment the fire seed appeared, all of the devilish flames in the 7th floor paused for a moment and unexpectedly charged at the vortex Wang Lin was in. It was very fast, and in an instant, almost all of it went into the vortex. Devilish flames, fire dragon, and flame dragon, these 3 kinds of fire energy fused with the vermilion bird. The vermilion bird was the main energy and the other 3 were secondary when the mutation of flames occurred. However, this wasn't important. After this great fortune, Wang Lin's vermilion bird unexpectedly showed signs of a second awakening. In the vermilion bird divine sect, the number of awakenings determined the peak of one's cultivation level, and this was key for them to become the vermilion bird divine emperor. In the long history of the vermilion bird divine sect, if multiple people had one awakening, then they would fight it out. The winner would become the divine emperor and the losers would become elders. However, if there was a person among them who had achieved a second awakening, there was no need to fight. The vermilion bird divine emperor would definitely be this person. As for the third awakening, it had never happened in the long history of the vermilion bird divine sect. Right now, the vortex around Wang Lin became monstrous, as if it could support the world. As it continued to absorb, a firestorm came out from the vortex and an indescribable firestorm charged out from the volcano. Cracking sounds came from the mouth of the volcano when the firestorm erupted, then countless pieces of rock fell and the volcano collapsed completely. As it collapsed, the huge firestorm charged up into the sky, and the intense heat collided with the sky. This caused a hole to punch right through from the 7th floor to the 6th floor. The 6th floor immediately appeared before everyone. The girl in pink and the beautiful woman were in the 6th floor. Both were in the main hall when they felt the ground take. To their horror, they saw the ground collapse, and all the buildings and the countless restrictions inside all shattered. This looked like the end of the world. However, the firestorm didn't stop, it continued to charge up. In the blink of an eye, it pierced through the 5th floor, and the entire 5th floor collapsed. Wang Wei, who had just woken up, and Hu Huan didn't hesitate and immediately rushed out. This firestorm continued traveling upwards after breaking through to the 5th floor. The 4th floor collapse. Sichu Nan stared dumbfoundedly at all of this and gasped. Without hesitation, he moved with the flames. The 3rd floor collapse. The 2nd floor collapse. The monstrous storm reached the 1st floor before it finally stopped, but it didn't dissipate. However, the fire rapidly contracted and the endless firestorm disappeared into a figure deep within the cave. There were no flames in his eyes, but his body was surrounded by an invisible fire. If one looked closely, they would find that the space around Wang Lin seemed to distort, and your vision was blocked. His hair had completely changed. A head of white hair flowed as Wang Lin let out a big breath and clenched his fist. Behind him, a vermilion bird appeared. It was no longer red, but white. This kind of white was similar to snow, but anyone who saw the vermilion bird would feel the unimaginable heat within. The white vermilion bird circled Wang Lin. It was extremely proud, as if all other creatures in the world were below it. As it circled Wang Lin, it let out a vermilion bird cry that could penetrate the heavens. The vermilion bird's second awakening. At this instant, the entire world trembled. Master Void was hiding in the corner of the 4th floor, struggling to survive through his first heaven's blight. Once I succeed, not only will my injuries recover, but my cultivation level will increase dozens-fold. When that happens, Killing that Wang Lin will be like crushing an ant. While was struggling, the cry of the vermilion bird's second awakening entered his ears. After being startled for a moment, Master Void was filled with disbelief. If it was the first awakening, he could accept it, but he would have never thought that a second awakening was possible. He clearly knew what the second awakening meant, and he knew that the difference between the first and second awakenings was like the difference between heaven and earth. If the first awakening could make the entire Vermilion Bird Divine sect protect him, then the second awakening was enough to make the entire Vermilion Bird Divine sect crazy. It could no longer be described as using their full power to protect him, now it would be to protect him no matter the cost. If it was just one awakening, although the Alliance would still have to kill Wang Lin, they wouldn't be shocked. However, if the Vermilion Bird went through a second awakening, even they would be shocked. Moreover, Master Void knew that the time between these two things happening was so short, it was negligible. Thinking about how the person he wanted to kill, the one that caused him to end up in such a state, had awakened twice, Master Void, who was enduring his first Heaven's Blight, coughed out a mouthful of Essence Origin energy. His mind became confused and all the Origin energy in his body went crazy. The initial sign of failure of his first Heaven's Blight appeared. The first Heaven's Blight was unpredictable, and often just the slightest fluctuation in one's mind was enough to make one fail. And once you failed, the result was death. The moment the Vermilion Bird went through the second awakening, the Vermilion Bird spirit outside the Demon Spirit Land let out the same cry. At this moment, the eyes of all the Vermilion Bird Divine sect members widened. The 6 Nirvana Shatterer elders all sucked in breaths of cold air. Second awakening. He unexpectedly started the second awaken after such a short period of time. The hope of my Vermilion Bird Divine sect will arrive. If this person is safe, my Vermilion Bird sect will rise once more. Deep in the burning starfield where Vermilion Bird Divine sect was located, there was a white stone. This was where the Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor that had survived for countless years sat. At this moment, he suddenly opened his eyes, and they shined like they never before. Second awakening. His breath became unstable. After pondering for a bit, he unexpectedly tried to get up, but in the end, his old body was unsuccessful. I don't have much time left. Giving up a bit of my remaining time for this clan member who has awakened a second time is worth it. The old man let out a sigh and closed his eyes. Just as his eyes closed, an unimaginable force of fire charged out of his body. It was so powerful that even the burning starfield trembled. It was as if the entire starfield was going to collapse, and popping sounds echoed across the starfield. Then an origin soul slowly floated away from this old man. The origin soul didn't look old, it was that of a middle-aged man. He lowered his head and looked at his body, and his eyes revealed an ancient gaze. It has been a long time since my origin soul has left my body. He shook his head and took a step. A vortex appeared in the sea of flames before him. He stepped into the vortex and then disappeared. As for inside the Celestia Emperor Cave, on the 7th floor, Tajio looked at the firestorm, and his eyes revealed a serious expression for the first time. He didn't care about the Vermilion Bird's second awakening, but he felt an unexplainable terrifying aura from this ancient god. The royal bloodline ancient god and the Vermilion Bird Divine Beast. They have unexpectedly fused. But that isn't important. Just as I was about to attack to stop him, I unexpectedly felt unease. What else does he have? And at this moment, ancient demon Bei Lu borrowed the moment Wang Lin's second awaken occurred to escape along with the firestorm. He no longer wanted to fight against the ancient devil and was focused on escaping. I need to get out of here and quickly reach the outer realm. I can't fight Tajio. Bei Lu felt very bitter. He had lost too much this time. Half of his ancient demon spirit body was devoured, and in order to escape just now, he had shattered 2 stars. He moved like lighting as he charged straight up. Ancient devil Tajio's eyes lit up. The person he absolutely couldn't let go was this ancient demon. He simply ignored Wang Lin and chased after the ancient demon. The more time passed, the better control he had of this body. His speed was now several times faster than before, so he instantly closed the distance between himself and ancient demon Bei Lu. Bei Lu clenched his teeth and moved, but Tajio was even faster. Seeing that he couldn't escape, Beilu clenched his teeth and a third ancient demon star collapsed. Borrowing the force of the star's collapse, Beilu charged into the 6th floor and immediately locked onto the 2 escaping women. His body flickered and closed in on the 2 women. His demonic claw reached out toward the girl in pink. The girl in pink's face became pale without blood, but she didn't panic. The moment the ancient demon's claw closed in, the snowflake mark between her eyebrows shined. There was a loud whistling sound and then a snowstorm appeared before the girl in pink. The moment the ancient demon's right hand reached over, it collided with the snowstorm, and the claw was knocked back. The girl in pink coughed out blood all over the snowstorm and then was thrown backwards. The ancient demon was surprised, but he didn't hesitate. His right hand swept by and grabbed the beautiful middle-aged woman's head. Thanks to the ancient demon's cultivation level and spell, the injured beautiful middle-aged woman who had just recovered couldn't resist at all. Demonic energy surged into her body and completely sealed all her meridians. At this moment, ancient devil Tajio arrived. Beilu didn't have time to think. As he held the beautiful woman, a demonic glow appeared in his eyes. Then his left hand formed a seal and he pointed at her body. Every time he pointed, a strand of demonic energy entered her body. In the blink of an eye, the beautiful woman's body trembled, and the blood vessels in her body crossed, forming a large, strange rune. The moment ancient devil Tajio closed in, ancient demon Beilu threw the beautiful woman, then his eyes lit up and he shouted, "Demon spirit transformation." After he spoke, all the blood vessels in her body exploded, her body turned into a blood mist, and she died. However, a rune appeared in her collapsed body and quickly absorbed her flesh. It even spare her shattered origin soul. After absorbing everything, the rune released a demonic glow and flew toward the 5th floor. After the ancient demon did all of this, he felt as if he had consumed a lot of demonic energy, and the 4 remaining stars in his right eye were dim. However, he no longer tried to run. Instead, he turned around and he stared at ancient devil Tajio with madness in his eyes. "Forget it. I'll try to buy more time so the demon spirit can escape." Demon spirit transformation was the ancient demon's life-saving spell, and they wouldn't use it unless they had no choice. This spell had one great weakness, which was that they had to use a member of the opposite sex as a furnace for it to succeed. And even if it succeeded, one would lose most of their cultivation and just become a broken spirit. Beilu had been forced to the brink, and he only used this spell because he saw the 2 women. At this moment, madness appeared in his eyes, and the ancient demon stars in his right eye rotated rapidly and then collapsed. 1, 2, 3, 4 ancient demon stars shined brightly and all collapse. The collapse of the 4 ancient demon stars caused Beilu's body to grow like crazy, and the madness in his eyes became even stronger. He let out a ferocious roar. "Tajio, even if I can't kill you, I'll make it so your possession will never truly succeed. This is all because you've forced me." Ancient demon Beilu charged out while letting out a roar. Then his body flickered and turned from 1 to 2, then to 4, then to 8. In the blink of an eye, the entire world was filled with ancient demon Beilu's figure. When he got near ancient devil Tajio, a thunderous rumble echoed. He had chosen to self-destruct. He'd die just to hurt Tajio. The thunderous rumble echoed across the sky. All the avatars of the ancient demon collapsed, forming a destructive shockwave that spread across the 5th floor. The entire 7th floor immediately collapsed. The girl in pink revealed anger, but she didn't have time to think. The moment the ancient demon charged at the ancient devil and exploded, she immediately rushed toward the 6th floor. However, before she could get far, she felt the unimaginable impact behind her. As for Wang Lin, he was at the 1st floor of the cave, and the vermilion bird cry echoed behind him. An invisible fire surrounded him as he looked down at the tunnel that pierced through the entire Celestial Emperor cave. His hands were moving and countless restrictions were appearing. The restrictions continued to land on the pit, and each restriction caused a large amount of rocks to fall. Wang Wei and Hu Huan came out, and the moment they saw Wang Lin, they understood his intention. They didn't hesitate and began launching spells at the ground as well. This earth began to tremble as if the entire demon spirit land was being affected. At this moment, It was as if earthquakes were occurring across the demon spirit land. Sichu Nan charged out from the deep pit and cursed non-stop. Damn it, what is this damn place? After I leave here and get rid of this poison, I'll have to enter closed-door cultivation. After Sichu Nan charged out and saw Wang Lin, he gasped, but he immediately knew Wang Lin's plan. Without hesitation, he flew into the air and began bombarding the ground with spells. The ground began to tremble even more violently. It felt like the entire Celestial Emperor cave was going to collapse. At this moment, the people hiding inside the second floor all flew out. Among them were Big Head, the 3 Chen brothers, Lei Ji, the beautiful middle-aged woman's 2 disciples, and even Master Hollow Wind. After these people charged out, when they saw Wang Lin, they were terrified and quickly scattered. Master Hollow Wind seemed to have guessed Wang Lin's intention, but he didn't understand. After all, he hadn't experienced the horror of the ancient devil. None of them even knew the ancient devil existed. Just as the trembling became even more violent, Wang Lin's eyes revealed a strange light. Then his hands formed a seal and he suddenly pointed at the ground while letting out a roar. The huge vermilion bird behind him let out a cry and rushed into the pit. The endless flames suddenly surrounded the vermilion bird and charged straight into the pit. At this moment, Wang Wei's eyes were bloodshot, and his hand formed a seal and a monstrous sea appeared. The sea charged into the pit right after the vermilion bird. Hu Huan and Sichu Nan also used their most powerful spells that followed the vermilion bird down into the pit. Just at this instant, waves of cold energy came from the pit. It was the girl in pink with countless snowflakes around her, and she was struggling to get out. As the various spells descended, the snowflakes rapidly rotated and she barely made it out through all the danger. The vermilion bird landed into the pit that penetrated the entire Celestial Emperor cave. A loud rumble came from the second floor, and when the rest of the spells landed, the Celestial Emperor cave began to truly collapse. The endless rumbles filled the sky, and as they echoed, the ground sunk in, sealing off the exit. It was also shrouded within everyone's spells. Muffled sounds came from below, and there were roars of the ancient devil. After using the spells, Wang Lin's hands continued to move, and countless restrictions landed. Hu Huan didn't stop either. She and Wang Wei also placed restrictions. The 3 of them were extremely fast, so a large amount of restrictions fell on the collapsed ruin. The dense restrictions landed as if they were forming a large net. At this moment, muffled roars came out, and they were even more crazy than before. As the roars echoed, the earth trembled even more violently. It was as if a force wanted to rush out, as if a person wanted to break out from inside and slaughter all life. The expressions of the surrounding cultivators that didn't know about the ancient devil changed. Master Hollow Wind could clearly feel the endless fierce energy coming from below, which made him tremble. He didn't hesitate and quickly placed the restrictions he knew. Everyone else who knew restrictions all sent out restrictions in an attempt to help. The roars from the ground came closer and closer, and the vibrations became stronger and stronger, causing the rocks that buried the hole to begin to collapse. Not enough time. Wang Lin clenched his teeth as he slapped his bag of holding and took out Qing Shuang's body. He had no time to worry about Wang Wei or Hu Huan's feelings. His right hand hit the back of Qing Shuang. This wasn't to hurt her, but to force out all the blood he could from her body without her dissipating. When his palm landed, Qing Shuang immediately coughed out a large amount of blood. The moment the blood appeared, Wang Lin took it and turned it into blood mist that covered the ground. Origin energy continued to surge out from his hand, and Qing Shuang continued to cough out blood. Wang Lin scattered blood on all the restrictions here. Just at this instant, a shocking rumbling sound came from underground. Then a monstrous surge of devilish energy shattered all the rocks that were blocking the way, and ancient devil Ta Jiao slowly flew upward. However, the devilish energy that rushed up dissipated like melting snow the moment it touched the restrictions. The strange part was that there were 4 people behind ancient devil Ta Jiao: the All-Seer, Ling Tianhu, Master Void, and the strange humanoid thing from the collapsed celestial burial pool. The human-like thing looked very gentle and calm as it floated next to Ta Jiao. It was as if Ta Jiao was its owner. The moment Wang Lin saw this, it was like a bolt of lightning had struck him. Before, he didn't link it with the ancient devil, But after seeing this, he had a guess. Part 271. Ancient gods had moongazer serpents in their bodies, and the ancient devils had something similar. The human-shaped thing was obviously that. This thing didn't exist before the ancient gods died, but it somehow was released during the struggle between the ancient devil and the celestial emperor. After it got separated, it somehow went into the ancient god's skull deep under the celestial burial pool. Although Master Void was standing behind ancient devil Tajor, he was in an extremely strange state. His eyes were filled with madness and there was a rune on his forehead emitting powerful devilish energy. It was obviously a seal, but Wang Lin could clearly see Master Void's life force rapidly dissipating. He was on the brink of death. Ling Tianho's expression revealed a complex gaze and he subconsciously avoided Wang Lin's gaze. He looked to the side, and no one knew what he was thinking. The most unpredictable was, of course, the All-Seer. The All-Seer's expression was calm, just like it was when he entered the cave. His eyes were clear, as if he had seen through everything. When Wang Lin looked at him, he revealed a smile. When Wang Lin saw the All-Seer and company appear, he let out a sigh. He knew that the blood on the restrictions would only affect the ancient devil Tajor and was useless on everyone else. However, this was the first floor of the Celestial Emperor Cave, so it wasn't difficult to leave. But for some reason, he had always felt in his heart that there was something weird about everything he had experienced just now, but he couldn't tell what was wrong. There was a hint that something bad was going to happen. When he saw the All-Seer behind ancient devil Tajor, that feeling became even stronger. In truth, everything that had just happened had happened far too quickly for him to think. Looking back, it seemed like everything they had done was forced by the ancient devil. It was as if everything was intentionally planned out by the ancient devil. The kind of terrifying feeling that the All-Seer gave people surrounded Wang Lin's heart. He rapidly retreated while pondering. Sichu Nan kept an eye on Wang Lin. When he saw Wang Lin retreat, he headed toward Wang Lin and retreated with him. Wang Wei and Hu Huan also did the same. At this instant, all the surrounding cultivators rushed to leave. The All-Seer revealed a smile and then raised his finger and pointed. There was a flash of grey gas and the grey-robed All-Seer appeared. He coldly stared at his original body and let out a cold snort, but then he charged at the restrictions. Endless slaughter energy appeared and charged into the restrictions. Thunderous rumbles echoed and the restrictions began to light up. However, the restrictions weren't only placed by Wang Lin, Wang Wei and Hu Huan had also placed them. Hu Huan's restrictions were far more powerful than Wang Lin's, so the restrictions here weren't something the grey-robed All-Seer could easily break. This bought everyone time. While Wang Wei retreated, he pointed up and a pillar of water appeared and turned into a giant. The giant waved its giant first and hit directly above, causing large amounts of rocks to fall. Hu Huan didn't leave but stood in the distance, placing down large amounts of restrictions and reinforcing their strength. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, and his hand formed seals and he used spells to attack the sky with Wang Wei. The surrounding cultivators didn't hesitate and all attacked as well. Thunderous rumbles echoed across the first floor of the cave. And at this moment, in the space outside the demon spirit land, the 6 Nirvana Shatterer cultivators sat across from each other with their hands forming seals as they chanted. They would occasionally raise their fingers to point at the vermilion bird's true spirit, which caused the flames around it to become even stronger. A moment later, the vermilion bird true spirit suddenly let out a cry and a sea of flames spread out. The flames had no effect on members of the vermilion bird divine sect, but they would destroy any cultivators or any dust that divine sense couldn't see. As the flames spread, all the dust was burned to nothing, leaving only one dust particle that hadn't collapsed. This was the location of the demon spirit land. A flame began to burn on the only remaining dust particle, revealing this location to everyone. The vermilion bird's true spirit let out a cry and charged at this speck of dust. Endless rumbles echoed as the vermilion bird's true spirit smashed into the seal on this dust particle. Every time it collided, the seal would loosen a bit. The 6 Nirvana Shatterer cultivators all began using spells to bombard the dust particle. The seal that was personally left by Qing Lin before the celestial realm collapsed trembled even more violently. The external impacts clearly transmitted into the demon spirit land, causing the entire place to tremble violently. Even the people inside the cave clearly felt these trembles. However, no one paid any attention to them. As everyone attacked, the barrier between the Celestial Emperor Cave and the Demon Spirit Land suddenly collapsed. The moment the barrier broke, the grey-robed All-Seer broke through Hu Huan's restrictions. Hu Huan's face was pale as Wang Wei pulled her back, and they charged out of the broken barrier. Ancient Devil Ta Jiao stepped out. He then let out a grim smile and suddenly inhaled. Suddenly, endless devilish energy came out of his mouth and turned into roaring black dragons. The second brother of the three Chen brothers was caught by the black dragons. There was despair in his eyes as he was devoured by the ancient devil. Wang Lin wanted to save him, but he was too late. One of the female disciples of the beautiful woman was caught by the black dragon and was pulled back. Even Chen Qin had a pale face and was about to be caught by the black dragon. At this moment, the girl in pink covered by the snowstorm arrived and pulled Chen Qin out toward the exit. The black dragon arrived and collided with the snowstorm, causing her to cough out blood. The snowflake treasure had protected her from countless attacks, and at this moment, it couldn't withstand them anymore. It cracked and shattered. However, the girl in pink pulled Chen Qin and charged out. Big Head and company managed to charge out with the help of Situ Na and Master Hollow Wind, along with the woman in silver, who Wang Lin had taken out of his bag. However, the danger wasn't over. Ancient Devil Ta Jiao stepped out and his right hand mercilessly reached forward and squeezed. With this squeeze, everyone who had just escaped the cave to the Demon Spirit Land immediately felt a powerful pressure surrounding them. Chen Qin had the lowest cultivation level, so she coughed out blood and her whole body collapsed. Even the girl in pink trembled, and her body collapsed as well. However, there was a treasure from the brilliant void realm in her origin soul. This treasure shined and then its light surrounded her and Chen Qin's origin souls. However, the two girls' origin souls were seriously injured, and under the protection of the light from the treasure, they began to fuse. It was not only the two of them. Among the remaining two Chen brothers, the third brother's body also collapsed. Master Yi Chen quickly saved his third brother's origin soul and escaped. Although Lei Ji's cultivation was ordinary, his physical body was very strong, but half of his body collapsed. The remaining half was saved by Big Head, who luckily had taken no damage during this moment of crisis. As for Master Hollow Wind and Situ Nan, both were at the Nirvana cleanser stage, so while they were seriously injured and coughed out blood, their bodies didn't collapse. However, Situ Nan's expression became strange. The poison in his body had activated due to the serious injuries. The ancient devil's spell originally could have annihilated everyone here. The reason it didn't was largely due to Wang Wei and Hu Huan. The moment the ancient devil used the spell, they quickly used their own spells to interfere, and they withstood a majority of the attack. The reason they did this was because they knew there were people here that were close to Wang Lin. They had to repay Wang Lin. Wang Lin had also helped resist this spell. He shared this blow with Wang Wei and Hu Huan. He coughed out blood and was extremely weak. His origin soul was seriously injured and began to rapidly dissipate. Although he had endless fire origin energy inside his body, it didn't stop his origin soul from dissipating. Not even the ancient god leather armor could do much against these constant injuries. After all, Wang Lin's enemy was an ancient devil that had possessed Qing Lin's body. Wang Lin didn't hesitate and took out the pill Wang Wei had gifted him. He crushed the pill and swallowed it. This pill was indeed miraculous. His origin soul stopped dissipating and rapidly healed. Wang Wei and Hu Huan's expressions were also bad, and blood came out from the corners of their mouths. The couple revealed bitter smiles, but their eyes were filled with determination. Wang Lin, the two of us will use our lives to stall the ancient devil. Forget about resurrecting teacher. If you have the chance in the future, save Qing Shuang for us. Wang Wei's right hand reached at the void before him and a crack appeared and then he threw Ju Yi out. The two of us have lived for too long and have entered the cave many times. However, due to various reasons, we never got close. I didn't expect such a thing would happen when we got close. Wang Wei had a complex expression. At this moment, ancient devil Ta Jiao slowly walked out from the barrier, and he looked up at the sky. There was a hint of excitement in his eyes, and he began to laugh like crazy. Qing Lin, in order to prevent me from successfully escaping, you made it so your body couldn't break any of the restrictions in the cave. But this devil merely used an illusion, and all these people that came to save you broke all the restrictions you set to stop me. Ancient Devil Ta Jiao clenched his fist as he looked at this world. The excitement in his eyes became even stronger. After he spoke, Wang Wei and Hu Huan's faces suddenly turned pale. Wang Lin gasped. He finally understood the bad feeling he had in his heart. He looked at the ancient devil and his pupils shrank. Now let me show you my real power. Ta Jiao raised his right hand as he laughed. His eyes were filled with a crazy amount of bloodthirst. Just at this instant, the entire earth trembled and even the sky distorted. An illusion appeared in the sky. This was the illusion of a palace within a sea of purple flowers. Ancient devil. You can break one of my husband's plans, but you didn't know that by stepping outside, you'd enter the second rule my husband set for you. A cold and beautiful voice echoed across the world. A woman in white gradually walked out from the illusionary palace that appeared in the sky. Flower Imperial Concubine. Wang Lin suddenly looked at the sky. At the same moment, the seal on the dust particle where the demon spirit land was had loosened under the constant attacks of the vermilion bird's true spirit. It could be broken at any time. At the same time, a law similar to the change between day and night on a planet shined on the dust particle the demon spirit land was in. It arrived during sunrise. The illusion of the palace in the sky above the demon spirit land gradually turned from an illusion into solid form. It was as if it had teleported from Qing Lin's cave. The moment the flower imperial concubine walked out from the palace, the entire palace and the thousands of purple flowers around it shrank and became a palm-sized hairpin. She closed her jade-like hands and the hairpin disappeared, fusing into her body. She liked her gentle hand that could cause most people's hearts to pound. The flower imperial concubine looked at ancient devil Ta Jiao with melancholy and sadness in her eyes. They were so close, but they hadn't met since they separated countless years ago. Now that she was able to finally meet him, it was like seeing the moon in the water or the flower in the mirror. It was not the same soul as back then. It was like standing by the river and looking across. Below you there is the blue river and across is the green mountain. However, after you cross the river, you that find something is lacking. The green mountain and blue river are still there, but there is one thing missing, the soul. Ancient devil Ta Jiao's eyes shined red as he looked at the flower imperial concubine with greed and bloodlust, then he laughed. I have long heard that Qing Lin was flooded with good fortune and that all his 8 of imperial concubines were all extremely beautiful women. In particular, the flower imperial concubine was above the rest. It was said that she came from the Wind Celestial Realm and was the little sister Wind Celestial Emperor Lan Yun. Back then, I missed the chance to get a look, but looking at you today, it seems the rumors were indeed true. Although your husband, Qing Lin, is dead, his body is still there. Simply become this devil's flower concubine and become a cultivation furnace. Won't that be a joy? Ta Jiao laughed as he stepped forward and reached out with his right hand. Although ancient devil Ta Jiao laughed, he was filled with caution. He wasn't afraid of the flower imperial concubine, but his fear of Qing Lin was too strong. According to her, Qing Lin had already prepared for failure and had left more plans. The appearance of the flower imperial concubine was obviously one of Qing Lin's plans. Qing Lin was the most powerful celestial emperor. He was so powerful that even people from the outer realm knew his name. In addition to his powerful cultivation, he was able to calculate the future as if he was the heavens themselves, and he never missed a thing. As ancient devil Ta Jiao moved, the demon spirit land suddenly trembled. Black fog appeared in the sky and spread out. As Ta Jiao's right hand reached out and the black fog condensed into a giant arm that reached for the flower imperial concubine. At the same time, the human-shaped thing next to Ta Jiao coldly looked at everyone and locked onto Wang Lin. In a flash, it charged at Wang Lin, and before it even got close to Wang Lin, sonic booms could already be heard. Master Void's condition was extremely bad. Although he was standing there, his breathing was very difficult. Even if you were at a distance, you could hear him trying to breathe. This was no longer the sound a person could make, It was as if he was a beast. What was even more terrifying was that not only was his breathing rough, even drool was dripping down the side of his mouth. This drool was very thick, so it stretched out like silk. It was enough to make you feel nauseous just by looking at it. His eyes were swelled and his bloodshot eyes were sluggish yet filled with madness. His already old appearance no longer looked human, and his facial features were twisted together as if he had gone crazy. He also stared at Wang Lin. His last trace of memory was his hatred and killing intent toward Wang Lin. Master Void let out a roar as he shot toward Wang Lin closely after the human-shaped thing. The All-Seer still looked calm, and his eyes revealed a gaze that made seem like everything was clear and normal. It was as if this trip to the Celestial Emperor Cave was all within his calculations. Ling Tianhu still had his head lowered and was struggling. He had a complex expression along with a dazed look, and most of all guilt. The human-shaped thing and Master Void were naturally blocked by the celestial cloud couple. However, they were both injured, and the human-shaped thing was extremely strange, so it was difficult for a winner to be decided quickly. Master Void was breathing hard, and when Wang Wei and Hu Huan tried to block him, he became even more crazy. His target was Wang Lin, and if anyone dared to block him, he would charge without any care for the repercussions. The moment Wang Wei closed in, Master Void let out a roar and all the flesh on his body moved. It was very strange. Wang Wei's expression changed and he retreated without hesitation. However, just as he retreated, Master Void opened his mouth and spat out a large mouthful of black blood. This black blood gave off a powerful stench, and Master Void trembled after coughing it out. That was a majority of the blood inside Master Void's body. After the large amount of blood was spat out, it seemed to have intelligence, and it formed a net that charged after Wang Wei. Wang Wei's right hand formed a seal while he retreated, and he pointed forward. With a bang, an ice mountain appeared out of thin air. The ice mountain suddenly appeared and immediately blocked the black blood. However, the blood seemed to contain extreme heat, so the moment it touched the ice mountain began to melt. It also dyed the entire ice mountain black. Wang Lin, this is the first of the 5 Heavens Blight Peak Nirvana Shatterer cultivator's face, body blight. His body will continue to deteriorate until his soul dies. Wang Wei wanted to continue blocking, but due to previous injuries, Hu Huan was constantly pushed back by the human-shaped thing. At this moment of crisis, Wang Wei waved his hand and a large amount of icebergs appeared before Wang Lin. Then he charged toward Hu Huan to help her block the human-shaped thing. Without anyone blocking him, Master Void jumped at Wang Lin with drool and black blood leaking from his mouth. His eyes were filled with madness. At this moment, he no longer looked like the elder of the Alliance, he was obviously an ugly beast. Looking at Master Void, Wang Lin was shocked. He wasn't shocked by Master Void's arrival, but by the 5 Heavens Blights he kept hearing about recently. This is the first Heavens Blight. After one reaches the second step, their lifespan is almost limitless. If they absorb the world's origin energy, it can be transformed into endless vitality. However, how could the heavens allow something to exist as long as itself? The 5 Heavens Blights were the boundless calamities that Nirvana Shatterer cultivators had to face. It wasn't that cultivators who didn't reach the Nirvana Shatterer stage would be fine. There would be even more terrifying calamities awaiting the ones that didn't. At this moment, Master Void rushed in with heavy breathing and closed in on the iceberg. He opened his mouth to spit again, but this time there wasn't much blood left. Aside from the foul smell, there were pieces of rotten innards. The moment the giant hand formed by the black fog from Ta Jiao closed in, she lifted her jade-like hand and a sphere immediately appeared at the tip of her finger. There was a cloud of gas inside the sphere, and countless illusion of flowers appeared within it. The moment the giant hand closed in, the small sphere collided with it. The giant hand unexpectedly collapsed into endless black fog and was pushed back. Ancient Devil Ta Jiao's pupils shrank. He let out a cold snort and then charged at the flower imperial concubine. Both of his hands moved to form a seal, and the world immediately changed colors. As the wind blew, the black fog covering the sky began to gather and formed blobs of black fog. The moment those blobs of black fog appeared, they began to move. I believe you must be very familiar with this spell. Ancient Devil Tarjor laughed as his right hand mercilessly grasped at the sky and he shouted, "Star Burial." After he spoke, the countless blobs of black fog began to move even more than before and suddenly turned into spheres. These spheres emitted bright starlight. It was currently night, but with the endless starlight coming from the spheres, the land was completely bright. The star burial of my husband's sun, moon, and star spell. The flower imperial concubine revealed a complex gaze, but she shook her head and softly said, "However, with just your power, you can't display the true power of my husband's spell." Tarjor sneered and waved his right hand. The spheres formed by the black fog emitting the starlight became even more dazzling. Then these spheres transformed from incorporeal into corporeal forms. The rays of light crossed and filled the sky. As Tarjor waved his hand, the endless starlight gathered and descended toward the flower imperial concubine. It was as if it wanted to bury the flower imperial concubine here. If my husband used this star burial celestial spell, he could extract the power of this star system and use a spell that could fill up the entire star system. Battling 10,000 people or 100,000 people would the same. If he was facing just one person, then that person would have to withstand the power of the entire star system. There was a hint of disdain as she looked at the starlight falling from the sky. She formed a seal with her right hand and spat out a mouthful of fragrance that turned into 9 balls. There was source origin energy inside these 9 balls, and they floated around the flower imperial concubine like a formation. The moment the formation appeared, the starlight gathered on her body. At this moment, the location she was at became the brightest spot in the star system. At the same time, in the space outside the demon spirit land, as the Vermilion Bird's true spirit and the Vermilion Bird divine sect continued to attack the seal on the demon spirit land, the seal finally began to collapse. Along with it, the entire sky of the demon spirit land collapsed. The sky collapsed inch by inch as if it was the seal itself. It collapsed, and was replaced with the starry sky. The Vermilion Bird divine sect arrived. For the first time, the All-Seer frowned slightly. Everything that had happened within the Celestial Emperor cave had been within his calculations. He also knew that although the trip within the cave seemed simple, every step contained plans left by Celestial Emperor Qinglin. The All-Seer rushing into here meant that he had become part of the Celestial Emperor's plan. Just thinking about how he was indirectly competing with Celestial Emperor Qinglin made his eternally calm heart pound rapidly. Was the former Celestial Emperor really omnipotent or was the All-Seer a step above? He didn't know the answer, but this chance was extremely precious for the All-Seer. Once he succeed, his Dao heart would grow by leaps and bounds. The powerful self-confidence and momentum of beating Celestial Emperor Qinglin's plan would allow him to recover from the injuries of the past and advance even further. Even if he failed, it would still be a fortune for the All-Seer. He could use this plan that he had calculated for countless years to comprehend everything he needed to. In order to get this opportunity, he was willing to pay any price. What about Ancient Devil Tarjor or the Cultivation Alliance? Even if he had to cause a catastrophe, it wouldn't stop the All-Seer's Dao heart. Everyone else wanted Celestial Emperor Qinglin's body or spells. Some even wanted to find the secret of the 3rd step. Others might think he was crazy, but what he wanted was to battle Qinglin with a war of predictions. Since you wanted seal the Ancient Devil and set many plans to deal with the Ancient Devil in the future, I'll destroy all of this. The Ancient Devil is merely my tool to have a battle with Celestial Emperor Qinglin. No one could guess what the All-Seer was thinking. If there was one person, it would be Ling Tianhu. However, within the Celestial Emperor cave, Wang Lin's first Vermilion Bird awakening was something outside of the All-Seer's plan. From that moment on, the All-Seer felt a sense of pressure. In his original plan, Ancient Devil Tarjor would take his advice and use an illusion to confuse everyone. This made everyone that entered his helper in breaking the plan Qinglin had laid out on the 1st floor. However, the All-Seer would have never thought that that damn Wang Lin would awaken a second time. The moment Wang Lin's second awakening occurred, countless unpredictable variables appeared in the All-Seer's plan. At this moment, the change in the sky caused the All-Seer's expression to become gloomy. He took a deep breath. The All-Seer understood that he had to personally act now. His eyes suddenly closed, and at this moment, 7 colored light shined from his body. Then grey was added, and as a result, 8 colors appeared. These 8 colors flickered and then suddenly 8 different avatars wearing different colored robes walked out. The grey-robed All-Seer was one of them. Although the 8 All-Seers looked the same, they all had different auras. They immediately scattered toward Wang Lin and the celestial cloud couple. 3 of them charged toward the collapsed sky. At the same time, the flower imperial concubine was surrounded by starlight, and with a bang, the starlight was pushed away. She walked out from within the 9 balls. Although they had dimmed quite a bit, her expression was still calm. Ancient Devil Ta Jiao looked at the sky and revealed a serious expression. His hand reached out and the large black blade appeared in his hand. Holding the blade, he faced not the flower imperial concubine, but the sky, and slashed his sword, sending a ray of blade energy at the sky. The flower imperial concubine revealed a smile. The moment the change occurred in the sky, she knew that what Qing Lin had said back then had come true. The person who saves me will be named Wang. When the celestial spirit heaven realm collapses, I will have a chance to awaken. At this moment, ancient Devil Ta Jiao's blade energy charged into the sky, and the flower imperial concubine's body gradually disappeared. When she reappeared, she was in the sky before the blade energy. She took a deep breath and then the 9 balls charged forward to collide with the blade energy. A thunderous rumble echoed, and the powerful impact caused her to retreat. Killing intent flashed across Ta Jiao's eyes and then he charged at the flower imperial concubine. As for Wang Lin, when the All-Seer's avatar arrived, he was put into a dangerous situation, especially with Master Void's crazy attack. The glacier Wang Wei had placed didn't last. It collapsed, and Master Void charged like crazy toward Wang Lin. There was also the All-Seer's avatar. The grey-robed All-Seer was the fastest. He was closing in on Wang Lin with an indifferent expression. In addition, there were 2 more All-Seer avatars closely behind the grey-robed All-Seer. The 4 powerhouses all contained powerful cultivation. Now they all charged at Wang Lin, causing his pupils to shrink, and he quickly retreated. Just at this instant, the sky suddenly collapsed and the law of origin in the sky entered the demon spirit land. The moment the sky collapsed, it was like a mirror being shattered. The broken fragments were hit by the impact of the flames and pushed downwards. Behind the fragments, a heaven-shaking vermilion bird cry from the vermilion bird's true spirit echoed across the entire demon spirit land. However, due to the crisis Wang Lin was facing, he didn't have time to look up at the sky. But as he retreated, he felt a familiar power of law appear around him. This familiar power of law was what Wang Lin had comprehended after sitting on the mountain peak for a few months on planet Water Spirit. It was also the power of his first self-created spell, Sundered Night. The Sundered Night born from the sea. At this moment, even while facing the attack of Master Void and 3 of the All-Seer's avatars, Wang Lin stopped without hesitation when he felt this power. His eyes were filled with madness as he raised his arms and stared at the 4 of them. Then the law that had just appeared seemed to be attracted by something and rushed at Wang Lin. Wang Lin's mind thoroughly entered a mysterious state, and everything before him disappeared. The only thing in his mind was that moment of beginning, when he comprehended the force that tore the darkness of the night apart. The pupils of the grey-robed All-Seer, who was chasing after Wang Lin, suddenly shrank, and his eyes revealed a trace of shock. Not only him, but the other 2 All-Seer avatars were also startled as they looked at Wang Lin with disbelief. "This is," the grey-robed All-Seer gasped. Only Master Void was completely unaware of all this. Although his body looked real, it was formed by his origin soul during his first heaven's blight. Whether it was the blood or guts, they were all formed by his origin soul. When it finally decayed, his origin soul would be destroyed as well. He was lost in madness as he charged out. He pounced at Wang Lin with only the thought of devouring Wang Lin. However, just when he was within hundreds of feet of Wang Lin completely disappeared from his eyes. The entire world unexpectedly became night. Even the sea of flames that had fallen from the sky when it shattered disappeared. It was as if at this moment, Wang Lin was no longer in the demon spirit land, but in a boundless, independent space. Not only was the sky completely dark, but the sound of waves moving was entering your ears. Even the grey-robed All-Seer and the other 2 avatars were in this endless night. No matter how much their divine senses spread out, they couldn't find a trace of Wang Lin. It was as if Wang Lin had completely merged with the law of the world, and it was impossible to find a single trace of him. The surroundings were completely quiet aside from the sound of the raging waves. It was so real, it was terrifying. Looking ahead, one could vaguely see that they were in a vast and boundless sea. The waves were not raging but slowly rising up and down. The wind blew by, carrying the smell of the sea. All of this made it hard for people to believe it was not real. Master Void's angry roar echoed across the quiet sea. Being unable to find Wang Lin made him go crazy. He continued to attack the sea, setting off powerful waves. The grey-robed all-seer looked ahead, and a feeling of fear he hadn't felt for countless years appeared. This was a very unfamiliar feeling for him, but he couldn't help but feel it. He vaguely learned something, but the more he learned, the more shocked he became, and his eyelids twitched uncontrollably. Just at this moment, a red light appeared in the distance. The moment the red light appeared, never before seen fear appeared in the grey-robed all-seer's eyes. He recognized it as the power of law, and he couldn't believe Wang Lin possessed it. The grey-robed all-seer retreated without any hesitation. His scalp was numb, but no matter how much he ran, he was still above the sea. The red glow from the horizon became even brighter, and what appeared before everyone was the fiery red sun. The sun was completely red, and the waves raged below it. At this moment, almost everyone saw an illusion showing that their bodies had dissipated and turned into the endless night sky. Even the crazed Master Void was startled, and he unexpectedly awakened from his confused state. However, his eyes were soon filled with unimaginable horror. Law of origin. When he was at the mid-stage of Nirvana Scrya, he comprehended the law of the world and created Sundered Night. Right now, Wang Lin's cultivation level was far above what it was back then, at the peak Nirvana Scrya and only one step away from Nirvana Cleanser. At his current cultivation level, if he were to cast this spell that he could only use during the rare moments the law of origin revealed itself, not even Wang Lin knew how powerful it would be. The sound of the waves continued to enter the ears of the four people here. This sound seemed to contain a strange rhythm and seemed to contain the law of the world. However, as the sound the waves echoed, the grey-robed all-seer's mouth felt dry. He wasn't the only one, the other two avatars felt the same. In fact, they were even worse off, and fear grew within their hearts at an uncontrollable rate. Master Void had completely awakened when he looked at the bright red sun appearing over the horizon. Although only a small portion of the sun was exposed, the dazzling light was like swords that wanted to tear the night apart. He who was within the night was like part of the night, and would be destroyed with it. This was the power of Sundered Night. Time seemed to last for forever, but it also felt like it only took an instant for the sun to rise up. The moment the sun went up, an unimaginable force appeared. This was the power of the rising sun that could destroy anything blocking it. It also completely displayed the power of that sliver of law of origin. The dark night was forcibly torn apart. This power was strong enough to reverse the world, shake the heavens, and cause the night to collapse. The shattered night would be blown away and the world would be covered with light. It also contained Wang Lin's monstrous killing intent. It contained Wang Lin's unwillingness that was born after being hunted throughout the Celestial Emperor Cave and becoming a helper to the All-Seer and ancient devil Tar Joz's plan in the end. It also contained the suppressed anger that he had been holding this whole time. Wang Lin's 2 vermilion bird awakenings caused an unimaginable heat to appear. This heat was far stronger than anything Wang Lin's spell could produce. Thanks to the law of origin, Wang Lin's Sundered Night was able to harvest the moment of intense heat from the rising sun and magnify it to an unimaginable degree. The sun that rose from the sea released unprecedented golden light and incredible heat. It wasn't as simple as just tearing the night apart, it was going to completely crush everything and burn everything to ashes. The first person to face Wang Lin's Sundered Night was Master Void, who was the closest. The sunlight swept across the earth along with the extreme heat. Master Void was already dying, and his origin soul was dissipating form, failing his first heaven's blight. If not for the seal ancient devil Tar Jozz had placed on him, Master Void would have been long dead. At this moment, under the boundless sunlight, the night was torn and Master Void's face turned pale. His body was formed by the first heaven's blight, and at this moment, both of his legs collapsed into mist. However, the mist immediately dissipated without a trace due to the bright sunlight. But the current him couldn't feel pain. The only thing that he felt was the boundless fear and the feeling of disbelief. After his legs collapsed, the ancient devil mark between his eyebrows only lasted a moment before dissipating as well. After it dissipated, Master Void let out a miserable scream and his body dissipated, but he tried to back away. However, this world was very large. Not even the night could escape the power of sundered night, so how could Master Void? No matter how far he retreated, he couldn't escape death. As he retreated, the sunlight rushed forward. Master Void's screams echoed as the sunlight pierced through his body. He vanished with a miserable smile and was filled with despair. Master Void was a powerful peak Nirvana Shatterer cultivator with a high status within the Alliance, and he was even the junior brother of Master Zhongxian. He was once so famous, yet he couldn't escape the reincarnation cycle, the first heaven's blight, and the consequences of his own ill actions. Master Void disappeared with endless regret and an urge to live. All of this happened in an instant. At the instant the sun rose, Master Void died. Without pausing, the light tore apart the night and swept toward the grey-robed All-Seer and the other two All-Seer avatars. At this instant, the grey-robed All-Seer felt the pain of being torn apart from every part of his body. Even his independent origin soul was wrapped in this power. He had never felt this kind of pain before. It was as if every part of his body was being torn to pieces. A powerful sense of life and death crisis filled his heart. He suppressed the fear in his heart and then let out a roar and opened his arms. A monstrous amount of origin energy spread out from his body and turned into endless slaughter energy. This slaughter energy was endless and covered the entire sky. The roar of the slaughter energy tried to suppress the sound of the sea. It also tried to suppress the power of this sundered night that was enough to make him almost lose his wits. Not just him, but the other two All-Seer avatars turned pale and used their own spells. The yellow-robed All-Seer rotated rapidly. His body turned into a storm and he charged into the sky. The sky suddenly changed colors and countless yellow ripples appeared in the darkness, then the heavenly fate finger came crashing down. The yellow-robed All-Seer was the one that possessed the law of heavenly fate. At this moment, as he roared, the giant finger carried an aura that could make all mortals bow down in worship as it charged at the rising sun. He wanted to destroy this sun. The purple-robed All-Seer's hand formed a seal and a purple mist appeared behind him. The purple mist rose into the air and fused with the night. Even the purple-robed All-Seer fused with the night. In an instant, there was a hint of purple within the night, and hideous figures walked out one by one. They all looked different, and there were men and women among them. They looked like angry ghosts that had been trapped in hell. The moment they walked out, they let out loud hisses and roars. These people who were the people devoured in the heavenly fate sect over the countless years. However, the moment their spells appeared, they were pierced by the sunlight just like the darkness of the night. The evil figures that came out of the purple night all charged toward the sun, but before the burning sun, they were torn apart. They were like moths rushing into the flame. Some began to burn as they were pierced by the sunlight and were torn apart. It only took a moment for them to dissipate completely. The purple-robed All-Seer was forced out from the night with a twisted expression. His face was pale and he coughed out a mouthful of blood. His pupils shrank violently, and the terror in his heart reached an extreme. As for the heavenly fate finger, it carried powerful momentum as it charged for the sun. However, before it got close, it was swept by the sunlight, and popping sounds came from inside it. It also began burning, and the fire rapidly spread. In just a moment, the finger collapsed just like the night. Law of origin, the origin of all law in the universe. The yellow-robed All-Seer had a pale expression. He felt pain from his body and blood came out from all of his orifices. He coughed out a mouthful of blood and revealed a miserable smile. Then the grey-robed All-Seer's countless slaughter energy charged at the sun like fierce dragons. However, the sunlight caused the stands of cold slaughter energy to dissipate one by one. Even those that didn't dissipate were torn apart by the sun. The grey-robed All-Seer's face was pale, but his eyes were ferocious. He had independent will and knew that if he didn't give it his all, he might die under this spell. Going all out, the grey-robed All-Seer's hand formed a seal and pointed to his body. Popping sounds came from his body and his eyes turned completely red. Then a ray light flew out from his forehead. It was a crimson blood sword. This blood sword was the root of all the slaughter energy he had cultivated and the source of slaughter. The moment the blood sword appeared, the world was enveloped in endless killing intent. The grey-robed All-Seer pointed, and the blood sword charged at the sun like a bolt of thunder. The yellow-robed All-Seer also let out a roar, and his hands spread out as he charged into the sky. In the blink of an eye, his head turned into a thumb. His arm turned into the index and middle fingers. His legs turned into the ring finger and pinky. Then his body turned into the palm. He turned into an unimaginably large palm. This palm was like the heavenly fate finger, only even more powerful, and it contained all the power inside the yellow-robed All-Seer. As this palm charged at the sun, it opened its hand, and it was about to ruthlessly grab it. The purple-robed All-Seer also wiped the blood from his mouth, and his eyes were filled with madness. When he moved, something strange happened. Thousands of shadows appeared behind him. They were like afterimages that he left behind because he was moving too fast. However, every single shadow was different. As the purple-robed All-Seer closed in on the sun, each of the shadows fused with his body. As he got closer to the sun, the purple-robed All-Seer's aura was monstrous. The three of them were already as desperate as trapped beasts. If they couldn't break this spell that was making them lose their wits, they'd have no chance of survival. This video will end here.